far, she was managing a huge AUM of 25 lakh crore. In a few weeks, she will be managing 33 lakh crore. That's way above the Indian budget. Yes, my guest is Arundhati Bhattacharya-Chairman, State Bank of India. Mrs. Bhattacharya, thank you very much for joining me today. Well, before I come to this very large AUM that you manage and will manage, first a word on this big political change that has come on us. We can now be reasonably certain that there will be political stability, not just up till 2019, but probably even 2024. That is the So far, she was managing a huge AUM of 25 lakh crore. In a few weeks, she will be managing 33 lakh crore. That's way above the Indian budget. Yes, my guest is Arundhati Bhattacharya-Chairman, State Bank of India. Mrs. Bhattacharya, thank you very much for joining me today. Well, before I come to this very large AUM that you manage and will manage, first a word on this big political change that has come on us. We can now be reasonably certain that there will be political stability, not just up till 2019, but probably even 2024. At least the market's working with that. What's your sense as the top financial person in the country? Will it be a big difference to the economy, to a banker?
Well, you know, this government came in with the mandate of development and jobs, okay? And I think they've been working very steadily towards that. In fact, what really impressed me was the speed with which they brought the bankruptcy code. Because if you remember, they did it all in 1.5 years to get it drafted, get it through the houses, and have it promulgated as a law in 1.5 years is really very swift. Similarly, they've done the GST also, which is again a humongous bit of work. And therefore, I think the speed at which they have been proceeding, they will try to keep up that speed. My hope is that, you know, today the economy is looking very good on most macro parameters. So wherever, you know, there were difficulties, for instance, the inflation that has been tamped down. If you look at the current account deficit, the fiscal deficit, they're all very much under control. Even for that matter, the exchange rates are beginning to look really, really good. So given all of that, I really hope that this one area of resolution of assets, that will receive more attention, and I'm sure it will, because that, I think, is the last thing that is required to bring back confidence into the economy to enable it to really get onto the growth path again.
You once said that I want a conversation without MPAs, but you have been, you have broached the topic. I'll come to it in a bit. We can't not discuss the elephant in the room.
We'll keep that for the last conversation I have before retirement.
I don't want you to, retire from the public scene, even if you retire from SBI. But we'll come to that in a bit, ma'am. The more important task that you have on your hand is the merger. At what point is it going to be one legal entity? Is that April 1st?
That will be April 1st, yes.
And the single share, when do the other shares stop trading?
The shares will stop trading immediately. In fact, I think the share transfer, we've already closing the registers on the 17th. So from the 1st itself, it will be a single share. Okay. And the general ledgers of all the companies will merge. Subsequently, what we will do is we'll wait for audit to end, which should be by, say, the 3rd week of April, and then each of the individual data mergers of the banks will take place. But from the 1st of April, the entity will be one. Okay. So it will become SBI from the 1st of April.
So now you will have a fair idea of what kind of rationalization you are planning over the next year. How much do you think you will be able to save in terms of costs? Initially, will you see a rise in cost to income and then a fall?
I don't really think so. You know, there will be a small rise because, you know, we are simply taking in all of those entities without pairing anything. So yes, today if we are at 49 point something, we'll probably go up to 50 point something. But very soon thereafter, it should start coming down. It should start coming down, first of all, as I said, things like the Treasury and the Corporate Accounts Group and the MCG Group will very quickly merge. Because there are no issues, it's simply a question of taking the data and starting working there. Very few of the CAG, MCG accounts are different. About 20% of them, of those accounts are different. So that can be taken into our existing branches. So that setup will get freed up very quickly. The head office setups will take a little longer because obviously there has to be an orderly handover of all documents and things like that. But even that, should happen within the first 3 to 4 months. Okay. So we are looking at maybe the third quarter of the next financial year to start actually showing the costs, coming under control.
Okay. Well, what about ROE? For a share investor, that would be important. You all have been at double digits. With the merger, I would assume it will come to single digits. When do you see that coming back to double digits? That could take over a year.
Coming back to double digits would take at least 2.5 years. I think it's best for us to predict a medium-term recovery there rather than a very short-term recovery.
Okay. Well, I guess that will also because of the NPL resolution issue.
That's right.
But before I come to that, what's your sense in terms of growth itself with this larger size? Do you think credit growth picks up next year itself? You will have a larger workforce?
Well, we are beginning to see some amount of interest come back. The good thing is, that there are people out there who are now showing much more interest. Especially I'm finding that there is a revival of interest in the steel sector, given the fact that steel is doing better. And there is a revival in the mining sector, again because mines have been doing well. People are actually still waiting to see many of these large government projects actually kick off. So whether they be projects like the smart cities or they be the projects that the railways is beginning to talk about, or even start bidding out, the major road projects, then projects in things like bifurcation of the rural feeders and the transmission lines. In areas of defense, there is a huge amount of interest in defense, and we are beginning to talk to a large number of people who are coming from outside and who want to set up JVs here. So, I think today, see, these conversations were going on earlier as well. But today, I think the conversations are getting more rooted in reality. So, I think, definitely next year, by the end of next year, we will see some of these projects taking off. So, they are about getting off the drawing board level and coming into the sphere of actually talking finance. So yes, I do think things are looking slightly better.
We have to take a break, but thereafter, the more important question, the NPA resolution, which seems to be coming but doesn't quite arrive. All those questions to Mrs. Bhattacharya in a minute.